What is up? I'm about to give you the breakdown of the Bassmaster Open that just went down on Lake St. Clair. Took over 75 pounds to win it, and I'm going to show you the baits that it took and the techniques and how you can go out there and catch them. All right, so I'm going to start off by saying this. If you think you're going to just grab these baits, go out there and just cast them out and reel them in the relative location these guys are doing it, and you're going to catch 25 pounds of bass, you're crazy, because these guys are really good. They really had their patterns dialed in. There was 221 anglers in the field, and all 221 of them are very capable, very good anglers. So take everything with a grain of salt, and you're going to have to kind of take all of this information and make it work for you. The hardest fish to catch is somebody else's fish. Now, when you go out by yourself and you figure out how to catch your fish and you find some, especially if they're unpressured, those are going to be the fish that are the easiest to catch. So just keep that in mind with all these bait breakdowns. And it's possible you can go out there and catch them, but it's not easy. These fish are very pressured, especially after this big tournament. I mean, they weighed in 1,100 bass 2 days in a row, so definitely move some fish around. So just kind of keep that in mind, and I'm going to show you what it took to catch them. All right, so day one in the morning, there were some residual waves left over from the day before. We had a really big blow on Wednesday. The tournament started on Thursday, and it was a little choppy out there, so it was easy to cover water. And all of these guys in the top 10 were scoping. The last day, Kenta Kimura, he said that he just kind of went out and fished for fish that were on the bottom. It's really hard to see these fish when they're on the bottom. And usually when they're on the bottom, they're kind of in that dormant stage. I don't know if they're digesting their food that they've just eaten, or if they're just resting, but the ones that are on the bottom are very, very hard to catch, and they're almost impossible to see on your live sonar too, so just keep that in mind. So those fish that you're seeing up off the bottom, those fish are hunting, and those are the ones that you want to see because they're most likely going to bite, especially if you can find 2 or 3 of them together. And the bigger ones kind of roam in those 1s, 2s, 3s, whereas if you find like a pack of 15 or 20, those are definitely going to be your 2 to 2.5 pounders. Not saying you can't find a school of 15 to 20, 4.5, 5 pounders, but it's very rare. You hardly ever see it out there. Most of those big ones are either loners or pairs, and when they're in a pair, they're a lot easier to get to bite and then if they're by themselves. But so that first day, Trevor McKinney was leading. He had 27 pounds, 12 ounces, just an insane sack. And he was catching them on a bait that the average Joe cannot get their hands on yet. So what it was a 2.5-inch swim bait, and it's the new Mayer one. So there is a 3-inch out. However, with like the pressure that all these fish have received, like a smaller bait definitely is going to be a little bit better in my opinion. So in just to kind of substitute, I guess, the 2.5-inch Mayer, I might throw like a 2.8-inch Kitech. You're going to vary your color depending on what you like, depending on what the water color is doing, and depending on what area you're fishing with the primary forage. So if there's perch in the area that they're primarily feeding on, you're probably going to throw a different color than if you're around a bunch of alewives or emerald shiners. Just kind of a different color pattern, but those perch are definitely going to be eating emeralds too, so you've got that going for you too. And smallmouth are opportunistic feeders. If they see something and they think they can get in their mouth and digest it, they're probably going to eat it. But the first 2 days, the leader, he said he caught all of his fish on a 2.5-inch swim bait. Now, I did just watch the 5 hours of Bassmaster live, and he definitely caught some on a drop shot that 3rd day. So I don't know if he was mixing that in the first 2 days too or not, but I'll take his word for it. And he said he was catching them on that 2.5-inch. So finesse swim bait, always a player on Lake St. Clair. I've pretty much always got one tied on, and I've been using like the 3-inch Mayer, and that's been working pretty good for me. But with the pressure that these fish have been receiving, like, it might not be a bad idea to downsize to like this 2.8. So the first 2 days of the tournament, especially the first day, a lot of the guys were saying that the fish, every fish they saw would eat a drop shot. And that's always a big player in the summertime on Lake St. Clair. And there's 2 primary baits that we're throwing out on Lake St. Clair this time of year. One of them is going to be a minnow shape. This is one that the guys in the top 10 were pretty much all had. This is just a baby Z2 from Strike King. Just nose hooking it. You can thread the Finesse Nico hook on it too, however you want to do it. And they're using anywhere from a 1/4 ounce to a 1/2 ounce drop shot weight. And it just kind of depends on what the mood of the fish are in. Sometimes if you go to that 1/2 ounce and you throw it out in front of them and it zooms straight down to the bottom really quick, just kind of reaction bite, and they'll zoom down there and bite it. And sometimes they want to just kind of fall in real slow, and they'll kind of meander over to it and just kind of slurp it. But just got to let the fish tell you what they want, and that's the live sonar really helps with that. You can see how they react to your bait, especially when you can see those fish before they see the boat. So that minnow profile was big, and then you got the worm profile too. A lot of guys throwing the flatworm, and you're going to vary your color depending on the water color and depending on what those fish are eating. You know, if there's a lot of emeralds around, that brown back color is a really good color. If the water's got a little color to it, this smoke black purple is a pretty good color. It's just got that darker color. It gives a little bit bigger silhouette, especially when the water's dirty. And it just kind of helps those fish find it a little bit better, and it just works a little bit better than kind of more of a translucent color. If you got really clean water, that's when you want to go to your natural translucent colors. Even like a green pumpkin is more natural than a black per se. But flatworm on a drop shot, big player, especially the first day and probably half of the second day. So the second day was very, very calm. And they don't bite that great when it's that calm sometimes. So you really got to coax them. You got to keep that trolling motor on high and just scoping, find them, and make as many casts as you can at a fish throughout the day. And just hope you get it in front of the right 5-pounders and get them to eat. Because that's what it takes. It takes 5-pounders to win. If you're throwing at 3-pounders, if you're on a school of 3-pounders, you probably need to move. I mean, there's some spots on the lake where they don't school by size, and you could catch a 6-incher and then a 6-pounder on back-to-back casts. But for the most part, if you're seeing, like, especially on live scope, you can see how big they are. If they're all the same size, you just skedaddle, man, get out of there, because it's going to take those 4.5-pound average to win, probably, going on the rest of the year. Alrighty, and the last bait that Jay Zakir ended up pretty much dominating the last day on, and he had a really strong bag the second day too, was, I hate to say it, the Smeltinator jig head. You've heard that one before. It seems like it's a pretty good bait. It's won like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in tournaments, and just a 3.5-inch fluke style minnow. And this is the baby Z2. You can fish the Z-Man Streaks. You can fish the Japanese Sakamata Shed. There's all different kinds of minnows out there. I know Yamamoto's got their forward-facing sonar minnow. Yum's got their forward-facing sonar minnow. Every company's got a minnow. And I'm sure with iCast being this week, there's going to be even more released, because that's what's hot. And everybody's looking at them, and that's the way to win right now. And some people don't like it, some people love it, and some people don't really care. They just want to fish. And that's kind of where I'm at. If it's legal for everyone, might as well have it, because you're not going to beat it without it in the summertime, seems like. So I'm out there every day, and I'm looking at them right now, just like everybody else. I'm trying to stay out of the crowds, because if you can get away from everybody and you got some fish to yourself, those fish are going to bite a lot better than those ones in the flotilla of boats. And if you're a fishing tournament, obviously you have to be around the winning fish. And if you're not around the winning fish, it doesn't matter if they're biting good or not, because it doesn't matter. Somebody's going to catch them. It happens every time. Somebody's going to catch them. So you're going to need probably 23 to 25 pounds the rest of the summer out here. It's going to suck for co-anglers. It's really hard to fish for that second guy, because the first guy is going to be head down staring at that screen, and that's just the way it is. That's the way it is right now. But that's how these guys caught them. You had forward-facing Sonar with the jig and a minnow. Smeltinator was the winning jig head, and then Baby Z2 was the minnow that he was using. And a lot of guys caught a lot of fish on a drop shot, and that micro finesse swim bait was a big player too. 27 pounds, 12 ounces. I haven't seen a sack of fish like that in a while out here. So it's really good to see. I mean, it's good to see that there's a lot of big fish around right now. They're going to be really hard to catch here for a while, but we will see. Still running guide trips just about every day. I've got a few trips left in July, and I've got probably another 7 to 10 days open in August right now. And then the fall, if you're interested in getting out looking for a big sack of fish, once that weather starts to cool down in October, get a hold of me, because my schedule is pretty open right now for that. I mean, the weather always plays a factor in the fall, but you can really catch some big bags that time of year. And obviously you can catch big bags in July. So just get a hold of me if you want to get out, and we will see you on the next one. Guys, I almost forgot. If you are in the Lake St. Clair area, you're from out of town, and you're looking to pick up some Smeltinators while you're here, you're in luck. Hook One headquarters in Marine City, right on the St. Clair River. They are fully stocked with everything that was in this video. They've got everything. They've got Smeltinators, they've got Baby Z2s, and they've got flatworms. So go up there, see Pete, and get yourself hooked up with everything you need. And if you're down by the Metro Park, stop in at Sportsman's Direct. He's got some flatworms there, he's got some Smeltinators, and he's got a few other plastics available for you. But if you need Smeltinators, because it seems like that is the head that all fish in the country like, stop in Hook One, Sportsman's Direct, and get some while you're here in town. Alrighty, that is it. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next time.